Don't forget, this is Lube, and today in this video, I will be going over the notable albums, at least to me, that came out during the entire month of March, and I will be placing them into tiers. So I'm using tiermaker.com, which is a pretty cool website where you can go and put things into tiers, and you can do other tiers, and there's community rankings, things like that. So pretty cool website, and you can make your own. It's really easy to make sort of professional looking tiers. You can input your own images and then make your own tiers. So instead of like the standard number scale, thought I would do it sort of this way, a little more visual. And the tiers they're sort of based on the certifications that music gets. 1 million is platinum, 500,000 is gold, and then silver doesn't exist. But I wanted to put some tier sort of in the middle that was still good, like it's still a good album. So you can correlate these to, each one of these could be 2 points on a scale. So platinum is a great album. Gonna be listening to it for a while. Not necessarily a 10 out of 10. It could be a 9, solid 9. And then gold, is a very good album, something that's better than most releases that come out. And silver is something I would say is still very good. It's just missing a little something. And then kind of shiny is like, it's maybe worth listening to, but I probably won't be listening to it a week from now. But you should check it out, and the artist has potential. And then there's Tinfoil, where you shouldn't even bother listening to this because this album just went certified tinfoil. So we'll start with the Childish Gambino record. So this record was released a week early. The single Time with Ariana Grande, I think, is a great song. I really like that song. But let's see, where should I put this one? I'm going to put this one, I think this is a silver album, and I say that for a few reasons. The album cover itself is blank, and I feel like that's sort of like the album. Maybe that's what he meant, because he might be hanging up the Childish Gambino name and switching over to Danny Glover or some other stage name, or just retiring from music in general. I'm sure there's more money in acting. But Time was a great song. I really enjoy that song. But in his albums, when they come out, I always really enjoy them. They just don't seem to age well, and I don't see why this album is going to stray from that pattern at all. But I might revisit that, and maybe by June when I do my 6th month, I've done a complete 180 on that album. But I guess I'll throw in, this is the 5 Seconds of Summer album, but I didn't have to tell you guys that. You guys all already knew that. So this album, I would say, is like a more mature One Direction. It does have some good songs. I love Easier, when they go, is it easy? Like that part, it sounds just like that. I love that song, Easier. It's a good song. I'm not afraid to say it, but so the album overall doesn't really do anything new. It's not breaking any boundaries. It's a very safe play for them. It makes a lot of sense. They're going to sell a lot of records, sell a lot of concerts. Should you listen to it? I mean, maybe. Not in the month of March, though. There's a lot of better stuff. So the next album is these two are buddies. So these records are certified tinfoil. So this is Blueface and Rich the Kid, obviously. So Blueface, I'm not saying this because of how he raps, or I actually really enjoy Blueface. You could definitely catch me doing the bust down. And I really liked his offbeat flow. I thought it was really unique and sort of interesting to listen to. But this album, he sort of, tries to actually rap, and I wasn't really feeling it because he's not a good rapper. So when he's actually rapping, it wasn't really all that. And then there's Rich the Kid, who I'm not really sure. I mean, to think he had just dropped New Freezer maybe like a year or two ago, and now he released Boss Man, and he had powerhouse features. Like, he had Post Malone, Nicki Minaj, a huge artist in YoungBoy and Lil Baby, who who should be in the same tier, class as him, they're selling like 200K records. And I think Boss Man went certified tinfoil and sold like 15K. So the sound just was not there. His flows were not enjoyable to listen to, and I didn't really enjoy really any of the tracks that I heard. They sounded like just basically "The World Is Yours," just B cuts. So, J Balvin. So I really enjoyed this album. It had some really good sounds. It's definitely I don't listen to a lot of this kind of music. But I really enjoyed it. It's really accessible if you don't listen to a lot of Spanish music. It's definitely fun. I like to throw it on like when I'm working because there's just not as many words in English. So it's, if you listen to music like instrumentals when you're studying or working, something like that. If you're that kind of person, then maybe you would check out the J Balvin album Colores. And I liked the logos that are on the front. The Murakami plushes. Alright, so Eternal Atake, maybe I'll put these two together. So Eternal Atake. So I did split it up because it's sort of two projects. It is the deluxe version, but I'll touch on them separately because I'm going to put Love vs. the World 2 as gold. It means I really enjoyed the album. I've been waiting for a lot of these leaks for a long time. Myron, I had like the rip and like the highest quality that would loop and make it the closest thing to a full song that you could get. And more supreme than a high beast. And your mama is a dime bass. Great song. And then somehow the second verse on that song is even better. And Lotus, a lot of the leak, like the CDQ versions, are better than the leak, so I was not disappointed. I'm not gonna knock this album at all because a lot of these songs are already leaked because fans were asking for it, and he really dropped this to deliver on that, what the fans were asking for. So Lotus, Trapped This Way, a ton of great songs. Now Kobe is I think that is my favorite. I love Chief Keef's portion of that, but besides that, you can tell that these songs were made in like 2016, and Uzi has actually like come a long way in writing music since then. Like even since Love Is Rage 2, he has come a long way, and you can tell that these songs are from around that time. And so that's why I'm putting EA as platinum. This album has a story. The songs, are interesting to listen to, and I think his flows are unique. And I really like what he does with a lot of the songs. So there's not a lot of, Uzi is not a lyrical rapper. He's not a good lyricist at all. But it's like how he can just say a word and make it so catchy and how it'll be stuck in your head, like hypnosis. Like that one word, hypnosis, was stuck in my head for weeks. So in this album, there is like a little bit of a storyline where he's like being abducted by his label. So it's something, I guess. There's maybe one or two songs that I would cut. I would not give this album a perfect 10. I would probably give it, like an 8.5. But to distinguish it from, the 8 or the 7 point something high, 7.8 or something like that I would give Love vs. the World to, I'm just going to put it at platinum to distinguish it from the field. So, rest of the other albums, there's still some big names left. So, Don Toliver, made popular on Cactus Jack Records, Travis Scott, hopefully he doesn't fall the way of Sheck West, who just sort of, I think he's still stuck in Astro World. But Don Toliver, a solid record, very enjoyable. I think you should listen to it. It's just not as good as his other mixtape, in my opinion, Donnie Womack. On that, he was doing a lot of this like unique singy stuff, like basically modernized Fetty Wap. And it was really good. He had a really unique voice, and he could really say anything, and it was easy to listen to. But now he's sort of falling into generic beats and and vocals, and he still has that really interesting inflection. So let's see what he does with it, because Travis Scott hasn't been able to hit with any of his artists yet. Now, Dua Lipa, really enjoyed Dua Lipa. You know what? Yeah, I do like the album better than Childish Gambino's. So I'll put it in the gold. Also, like the one single, is just so good that alone makes the album gold. I love that song so much. Don't Start Now. I love that song. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna put it as gold. But the album itself is very good. It's not pop in the sense of, when everybody was in their sort of, like, you got Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, like in the 2010s era of, like, just sort of just like stuffy, like not really interesting pop, like when I much prefer like the Lana Del Rey or the Charlie XCX kind of pop. And then the album is called Future Nostalgia, and she really touches on a lot of 90s sounds in the pop landscape without really copying it too much, and it does sort of modernize it, and I love her vocals. But that single, but yeah, so Queen Dua, great album. All right, so this is Hot Mulligan. This is a sort of a pop punk album. I won't say much. You guys probably aren't too familiar, but if you like this kind of music, like early, what is it? How to Be a Gentleman, maybe something like that. The Panic at the Disco album, maybe similar to that. Maybe not trying to compare the two bands, but sort of like Dude Ranch by Blink-182, like an unrefined, like you can tell there's something there. Maybe I'm not saying this band's the next Blink, obviously not, but and then Panic is now pretty bad. But like that similar kind of vibe, just kind of like a dirty, grimy, like pop punk album without really a defined, unique sound, but I think it's worth a listen if you're into that. Similar vein, Jack Harlow. Song? What's Poppin' is a good song. I like that song. It's catchy. But he could just turn to the next Sam Adams. It could really go either way. Depends how much time he spends hanging out with the next guy, Joyner Lucas. Complete cornball. I mean, the dude can rap. He can rap in like the same sense that like Hopsin can rap. Super corny. Not really self-aware, and all these songs were singles, is what I heard. I didn't listen to any of the singles. I listened to this album once, I'm not gonna lie, but so this is more of just like a joke just to have him on there, because it's a big name, and I listened to it, and I really didn't like any of it at all, so wasn't gonna listen again. Alright, so this, maybe another deep cut, is Local Honey by Brian Fallon. I did really like this album. It's pretty good. Something unique. It's definitely not anything like these other albums that came out this month. If I had to compare it to something, I hate like saying an album that's super popular or really good to describe somebody else, like what I just did with Hot Mulligan, because I don't want to say like, oh, like this is the next second coming. But Brian Fallon, singer-songwriter album. It's sort of like if Bruce Springsteen's like Nebraska listened to Phoebe Bridgers, like Stranger in the Alps, but like wasn't able to do either element like nearly as well. Or like if like a country singer, really any country singer, like Thomas Rhett, right? Whatever his name is, was actually like good. Kind of like that. It's definitely not, it has like, you can tell that this guy like probably sings country music, listens to country music, has that vibe, but also has, it's more of like a sad, like personal and very personal and maybe more of an emotional album. So definitely good. Maybe like tell like some girl that you like it and recommend it to her, and see what she says. It might work out for you. So this is Comethazine's Pandemic. I really liked Bosk, the Bosk series. He gets a lot of comparisons to Take A for his delivery, but I think they literally just have similar voices. It's not any kind of copying. It's just trap, and they have a similar voice, but there's no Take A anymore, so we'll have to deal with this. I'm okay with it. It's not as good as Bosk, but I like when an artist releases a project and then skips a number. It's like he went from Bosk 2 to Bosk 3.5, which I think is pretty funny. But I only threw this album on here. It was okay, I guess. I only threw it on here because he has a song called Nutted, and I think it's really sage advice where he says you shouldn't, like, your decision could change after you nut. So if you have a big decision coming up, you should try nutting and see if you still would make that same decision. And I think that's a really good advice. So sometimes you just, you should just be patient. All right, Party Next Door. So we were all super hopeful after P&D 1 was really good. P&D 2 was potentially even better, and P&D 3 was okay. And then we got Party Mobile and Certified Tinfoil. He ruined Rihanna's comeback. I mean, that song and Loyal with Drake are okay. Like, they're good songs, I guess, but in P&D does a lot of songwriting, but he doesn't really bring any of those elements, so he can't really deliver on it. It's not his vocals or anything. I mean, just like lacking like sort of anything to make it interesting and engaging, which is what he usually does in a lot of his songwritings. And I gotta guess that Rihanna just threw him this feature because he wrote work. I mean, probably, right? I mean, taking so many years off and from releasing music, and you come back with this, it's not gonna keep anybody entertained. So Suga, Meg Thee Stallion, blowing up on TikTok and whatnot. The album, you can tell it's like sort of an album that she just released, despite her label of like songs that she had. There are some catchy songs that'll probably blow up over the summertime if we ever get out of our cages. I love them. I love Meg Thee Stallion. I like that she's just downright disgusting sometimes. So worth checking out. It's nice and short. So, but definitely like mixtape, not a full rounded out project. So I'm just gonna keep it kind of shiny. All right, After Hours, including the deluxe songs on here, which weren't very good, by the way. Both deluxes. But After Hours, really good pop album. Really liked it. It's definitely my favorite Weeknd album since the trilogy. And I didn't mind his other albums. They were okay. I mean, Starboy had some really bad songs. Like, listen to False Alarm and tell me that's not a terrible song. So, but After Hours, pretty good. I really liked a lot of the songs. I'm going to come back to, like, Faith. I love Faith when he goes, and I own it. Like, oh, great song. So, definitely, like, Sad Boy Hours, and basically, like, yeah, what I wanted out of P&D is what I got in the Weeknd, because I sort of had lower expectations of P&D due to all the poppiness, but really good album. Recommend it, and I'm sure you've already listened. And this is a written testimony by Jay Electronica, basically a collab album with Jay-Z. And so we got J&J. And Jay Elec, he came through for the first time in a long time. And the production on this is amazing. That's why I actually bumped it up to gold. He comes with like the intellectual bars, sort of like, if you like albums like Boldy James's Price of Tea in China that came out last month, or The Allegory by Royce da 5'9", if you like, music like that, then you'll really enjoy this album. It's really good. Jay-Z, though, does help it bump it up to the next level, because I'm just, Jay Elec's delivery just isn't varied enough for me to stay entertained throughout an entire project, and it doesn't carry it over the super interesting, I believe they're Alchemist instrumentals, a lot of these. The production is really good, and it's like almost better than JLX rapping. But a really good album, and worth listening. So this is my list of all the albums that I listened to enough that I decided I could rate, besides Joyner Lucas, because I couldn't. So I love EA. I'll probably listen to that for a while. So I might do this weekly or never again, or at the 6-month point for the mid-year list when those all come out. So let me know what you guys think. I think you can check out my tier maker on this website. You can drop me an emoji, or you can do your own, and I can check it out. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to stay lubricated.